Boys, we're back. We are back. And I don't just mean Show and BK because we are back. We're back as a whole. But the Chiefs. You know, I know how they make fun of the Texas Longhorns. There's a drop I hear all the time where Major Applewhite. Not is it Major? No, it's not. It's Sam. Maybe it's Sam. Who's the shitty quarterback? Sam Ellen. What's his name? Sam Ellinger. Yeah,
Sam Ellinger.
Right. He said, "Hey, Texas fans, we're back," and people make fun of it because Texas is it took them a while for them to actually get back. I think the Chiefs, like the real Chiefs, are back. And I'm going to say that I know that this, and I'm not someone that this happens to a lot, where that Chiefs arrogance, that Chiefs fandom arrogance, but I'm going to exhibit some right now. I don't think the Chiefs have been the Chiefs the last several years. I know that they have won Super Bowls within this, which, God, has to really suck for a lot of other franchises who just want to get there. But I know they've won 2 out of the 3 championships and been to the Super Bowl the last 3 years. But they haven't really been back. This Chiefs, like at the hell with all of because I've heard this the last couple of weeks. The Chiefs are back because all the ref stuff is coming back and all these other franchises are complaining and there's some fun now, and Mahomes they're just throwing stuff in, and Mahomes is going up to the line of scrimmage trying to act and do all this stuff. And even though the Raiders didn't really buy it, they just kicked their ass. They didn't even need to do any fake acting stuff. It's not even any of that. It is the fact, fellas, that the Chiefs have the return of the knockout punch. And the return of the knockout punch means the knockout punch can come whenever. Like the knockout punch was in the second quarter against the Raiders, and bam, 14-0. It was over. They knew it. We knew it. We all knew it. I mean, we had people bouncing. This is now 2 fourth quarters that they've just not played. And yes, they have won Super Bowls and they have found ways to win. But the Chiefs that everyone loved, right? I think I can remember on this podcast where BK, you've said stuff like, there were different variations of the Patriots. There was the Patriots that were the defensive team at first. Then there was the Patriots that started to roll with the Killer and Rob. And then there was the Patriots that had Wes Welker and Randy Moss. And then there was the Patriots that then turned to Edelman. And I begrudgingly was against, no, to hell with that. I want them to stay this team that beats the hell out of folks and that you can blink and they can put 40 on you. They can. And that's just not been them lately. Like we've done podcasts during Super Bowl runs saying, hey, man, just get to 20. Just get to 21. I don't care if it's 5 field goals, just get there. BK and Serda, they have the return of the knockout punch. They can level it as well as anybody. And now they're dragging this defense along with them, which is a whole nother thing. But I mean, they can go out and put 45 on Washington, and I wouldn't blink. And I think they can do it in 3 quarters. The way that this offense is get back, and now I know they've won Super Bowls, but the real Chiefs are back. This is beautiful.
It's because the offense is back. Like, ultimately, that's what's fun about the Chiefs, right? Mahomes makes the Chiefs fun. The Chiefs have been a championship-level team for the past few years because of the defense. And Mahomes has played well, and you get into the playoffs, and he's this efficiency monster, and he does whatever it takes to win the football game. And that's great. And you mentioned, I'm glad you brought it up, you mentioned the different versions, the different iterations of the Patriots. And early on, like those early year Patriots teams, that's the most similar comparisons to what the recent Chiefs have been, where Tom Brady he comes through with a clutch drive, right? He does whatever is needed in the clutch moments to get the win. But ultimately, those teams were really remembered, those early Patriots teams, for what they did defensively. And that's the recent Chiefs. That's not the fun Chiefs, though. You can win championships, and yes, that's fun. The winning is fun. Don't get me wrong. But we're greedy. We've done a lot of winning in Kansas City over the past 7 years or so. This is the more fun version of the Chiefs. Ron, over their past 2 games against the Lions and against the Las Vegas Raiders, they've had 12 meaningful possessions. And on those 12 meaningful possessions, they have 5 touchdowns and 2 field goals. It's insane what they're doing right now. That's a total of 41 points on 12 drives. Those are crazy efficiency numbers, man. Nobody in the NFL is doing that. Not even the Indianapolis Colts. They are putting up numbers the likes of which they never have in their time as the Chiefs. This version of the Chiefs. Last thing here, because I think this is really what it comes back to, is the Mahomes factor. Mahomes has now played over his past 2 games. He's thrown for 250 yards. He's thrown for 3 touchdowns. He has not thrown an interception. He's done that in each of the last 2 games. The last time he did that in back-to-back games was 2020. It's been 5 years since those aren't crazy numbers. 250, 3 tutties, no interceptions. He has not done that in back-to-back games in 5 seasons. You're right, Ron. The Chiefs are back. The feeling of them being inevitable is back. And so much of that feeling is because of what they're doing on the offensive side of the ball right now.
It makes me so much more comfortable just blaming everybody else for how bad it's been the last 2 years. Like, just Mahomes was just dragging this offense, this lifeless imposter of an offense with everything he had to Super Bowls. And now they finally have the personnel that's talented enough to do whatever they want. And it's working in a way that it makes everything look easy again. And there's nothing to criticize about the Chiefs again. It's like Andy Reid's once again a genius, and everything is solved and the Chiefs are back. And we still haven't even really seen the full version of it yet, because they didn't have to play the 4th quarter of the last game. Rashee Rice only played 40% of the snaps. Like, we haven't even seen how good this version of the Chiefs actually is just yet.
But it's not just the offense. It's what the offense can do and how they can do it. Because, the first year after Tyreek, when they won the chip over the Eagles, they had the number 1 offense. But it wasn't like this. And it wasn't like the previous other teams, right? There was still some, lack of not to say there weren't explosive plays, but it didn't just come easy to where you felt like it was fear. There was some scheming, there was some other stuff, and maybe your tight end may have been really your most explosive player, especially when you look at matchups. This here, man, they can literally do whatever they want. Like, I'm not saying in every like they can. I'm just saying they can have a successful style of offense, whatever they want. They can quick game, and get big plays out of that. They can go and Tyquan Thornton go down the field and get big plays. We hadn't even seen Xavier Worthy really do, except for that first game, much down the field stuff. And I mean, just the matchups that they can create where Hollywood Brown's going up against teams' 3rd corners and at times, or Thornton is going up against teams' 3rd or 4th corners. And they could just, it is the return of just being devastating at it. They can have an 8-minute drive, and then they can string together 2 3-minute drives. They can go, they went 92 yards the other game in like 6 minutes. 92 yards for the Chiefs the last 3 years. Oh my God, that'd take a quarter and a half, for them to do that. It is the way they're doing it. It's like the Tyreek days out there where honest to God, I think they can maybe not score, but they can give you 25 every play. Like there's a possibility of that unless they hand it off, but there's a possibility they can give you 25 every play.
I think the way that I would describe it, Ron, what we're seeing right now, like Offense is ultimately about having as many answers as you possibly can to the problems that the defense is presenting to you, right?
Yeah.
So the Chiefs in the past few years have really just had one answer. Maybe you could say two. But like the main answer that they've had is Rashee Rice or Travis Kelce over the middle and then Yak afterwards, right? Like, and a lot of that is against zone defense. They've been excellent against zone because those guys are so good at exploiting those areas that are available to them. And so they go up against some of these teams that play press man and they get super physical with the Chiefs. And the Chiefs don't really have an answer for it because they don't have the ability to take the top off. They don't have guys that win one-on-one. They don't have a running game that really like forces teams to get out of their too high shells. So they lacked answers. And you look at it this year and it feels like they have answers for anything that they're presented with. Because Mahomes has now become this monster with his legs where he is more than happy if there's no answers there receiving wise to just take off and get the 10 or 12 yards that's available to him. So that's one answer that's available. Isaiah Pacheco is suddenly playing well. He's not an all-world player, but he's playing much better. He is somebody that they can at least utilize to some degree of effectiveness in the running game. You still have Kelce and now Rashee Rice, who are amazing against zone. Juju's another player that is available for you there. Now you've got Tyquan Thornton that can win over the top. Xavier Worthy can win in the intermediate route area. Brashard Smith is now doing some of those things with the gadget type of plays that they've had. It's almost like you think about all of the best pieces that have been available to them at any point in time over the last 7 years. They have all of those different elements now available to them in one offense. And it's the first time we've seen that, where they used to have these answers at different times in this Mahomes era. Now, all of those answers are available on the same field at the same time for the first time. And that's what makes it a hell of a lot of fun to watch, because in any given week, it could be something new that allows you to score 31 points. But in every week, they have the ability to score 31 points.
And it also is coming with them putting together the best offensive line potentially that they've been able to have in that era. And I think that leads me to this. I don't speculation has been happening in this Josh Simmons situation a lot. I haven't talked about, but again, I didn't even know that Jalen Moore was even over there again. I had no idea. It just he played. Bam. Hopefully Trey Smith. It's Thursday. Trey didn't practice, right? Trey Smith didn't practice back, but they said he's getting better.
Yeah, they have practice Friday and Saturday for a Monday game. So
yeah, he said he was getting better. So that is one to watch. Again, hell, I didn't even know Mike Caliendo was out there either. I mean, it was just pure domination. There was at no point where it was like, oh, that's they're getting hurt by that, whatever. But as we said, when you look at their guard, center guard, and Kingsley is just getting better every single week, and then you know what you have with the best center in football and one of the best guards in Trey Smith, and then Jawan Taylor has continued to play well. Now I know when he gets his next penalty, people will act like the last 4 weeks didn't occur and just act like he gets penalties all the time. But he's been playing really, really well, and maybe he's getting more healthy with that knee. And then it's Josh Simmons, and Josh Simmons has been really, really good, and I think has a chance to, hell, in year one, maybe be the best left tackle they've had in this Mahomes time period. But he hasn't played for the last 2 weeks, and he wasn't there again today, and it doesn't bode well to think he'll play again on Monday night. And the thing that is so amazing to me about the situation is, fellas, we're like 3 weeks into this, and there is no definitive report about anything of what it is. And it doesn't seem like people are like, I'm not saying no one's pushing it. I think people have been trying to get to the bottom of it, but a situation like that, 3 weeks in, on a team, only the Cowboys are even in the conversation to be covered or have as much interest in than Kansas City. The Chiefs are all, this will be 2 out of the 3 weeks. They were going to be on national TV, standalone games, Sunday Night Football, and then Monday Night Football. I am borderline amazed that we don't have any reporting by now on what it is. And I do think it is very serious. And to think that it has been kept under the wraps, just that anybody hasn't had it leaked. Like there's not anything even leaked, fellas, of what it might be. And people are trying to get clicks, trying to get that part. To me is really, really amazing that this situation to this high profile team, and he's a first round draft pick that was thought to be the most important addition to the team in the offseason, has not been reported with any kind of, close to concrete understanding of what it is.
The only thing that, and anything we say here is going to have to be speculation because frankly, we don't know, right? Like the reason that we're not reporting it is because we don't know what's going on here. The thing that comes to mind for me, Ron, when there's so much uncertainty about a situation like this, I've got to imagine somebody has some kind of information on it. Somebody somewhere, because people talk, right? Like we know how this works. We've been in those locker rooms. Like guys just talk. So it speaks to me to what a serious situation this must be, because otherwise it would have leaked somewhere. There would have been somebody that goes in the locker room, talks to somebody, and then they're like, hey, this is what I'm hearing. This is what's going on. Here's kind of the timetable. I don't know what it's going to be, but this is kind of the situation. You've had none of that. The closest thing that I've seen to any kind of a concrete report was what Nate Taylor had to say, where he went on, I believe it was 610 in KC, and said basically, hey guys, all I can say is it's serious. I don't know when he's going to be back. It's related to the illness tag that you saw a couple hours before that Jaguars game. And he said, when I heard about what this is, it made me that much more impressed by him playing as well as he did at the beginning of the season. And that's it. That's all I've seen. That is the most concrete information that I've seen anywhere from anybody on this entire situation. So when you get stuff like that, and that's all you're hearing with multiple weeks for the Chiefs, one of the most prominent players, one of the most prominent additions, it tells me it's something pretty significant, and people don't want to report it.
Oh, sir, and BK, I definitely think because there was some speculation of people wondering, well, what's going on with this. I do think when we hear what it is, I think everybody will completely understand why he hasn't been playing.
That's my guess. Yeah, I can't think of any other reason why we don't have more information right now. The other thing on this, Ron, is like, if that is the case, and if the Chiefs, and today I was happy to see Andy Reid for the first time really came out and said, hey, this is all positive stuff. It's all heading in a positive direction. It's really the first time he's taken that tone with it, where at times in the past, it has almost felt a little bit cold, where the Chiefs have said like, hey, that's for Veach. Veach is handling that. Veach has got that. And there was the report early on, and this was one of the other pieces of information that we had heard. Hey, he left at a surprising hour. There wasn't a whole lot of communication there. And it almost sounded like the Chiefs were like either confused or disappointed that he wasn't around the team at that point in time. And so it did make me think to myself, like, man, I don't love the way they're handling it the first couple of weeks. So I'm glad to see that the tone appears to be shifting, and it is heading in more of this is a positive thing. We're getting all of this coming to like resolutions. That to me is certainly obviously a positive sign, but also I think it's better messaging for the team if this is something that is serious.
Yeah, it's tough because it's like we're trying to go at this from like a certain level of like respect and privacy for somebody like Josh Simmons and whatever he's going through and whatever he's trying to navigate right now. But I understand that like fans, are going to be fans and they want answers and they want to know what's going on. And when is this guy who we all think is going to be a cornerstone of this Chiefs team, like when is he going to return? And I mean, that's what everybody who was complaining about all the money they spent on Jalen Moore, is that contract worth it now? like Jalen Moore, it would probably be a real problem if they didn't have Jalen Moore to just plug and play right now. So the offensive line hasn't been bad. Like even last week in a totally dominant effort, like they still had a couple of moments where wasn't perfect every single snap, but they were damn sure better than they were at any point last season. And right now it's good enough as long as they stay healthy. We'll see what happens with Trey Smith this week. But if they can stay healthy and navigate this for a little bit, they're perfectly fine along the offensive line. And then hopefully that gives Josh Simmons time to take care of whatever he needs to take care of so he can return and step right back in when he's ready to.
Yeah, listen, I'm with you. It does appear people are respecting his privacy and ultimately respecting the situation. Like I think there are some reporters out there who know a lot of information and could probably go with a lot of information, but they're not doing it. I'm just surprised it's not happening. That's my thing is I am just in a space where I'm surprised that in today's day and age of just trying to get information, the having compassion and kind of respect for how people's privacy and what people are dealing with is not always been something that people give a damn about, right? And you know that 3 weeks into this thing, I was listening, BK, to that same report he was on with Fesco and Dusty, and I remember Dusty asked him. He said, "Do you think we'll know by the end of the week?" And that was after the Lions game. And Nate quickly didn't even think about it. Said, "Oh no, we won't. I don't think we'll hear about this for a while." And I was like, "Really? Like we won't even hear about it? Not that we won't see him for a while, because who knows? He could miss the next month, the full year, but that we won't know about it. That part is interesting to me. I again, thoughts and prayers. Hope whatever it is, because we don't know, but it and I agree. I think you said this before, BK. It must express the seriousness of the nature of whatever this is, that nobody is pressing forward. Like it's almost agreed upon in an odd way. All right. When the Chiefs have the ball, obviously, we don't expect to see Josh Simmons on the field. But as you said, sort of that the line has been fine. They've been good. I think they've been better than fine. I think they were really good against the Lions, the team that was second in the league in sacks coming into that game. And I mean, I don't know if Mason Crosby just wants to play for the Chiefs. I don't know what it is, but they didn't really do. He didn't do much even while he was in the game. But again,
the old K-State kicker.
What did I call him? Mason Crosby. Is that what I called? What did I call him?
Long time kicker for the Green Bay Packers.
Max Crosby. What I meant to say, but whatever. He doesn't care. He wanted out of that game too. But with that being said, I don't look at. I watched how easy that Cowboys offense just went up and down the field on that Washington defense. And then they struggle to rush the passer anyway, which feels very Ravens-like. And then they lose their best pass rusher, Armstrong, to an ACL, and he's out now. And so I don't know, man. This feels like if the Chiefs want to just beat the hell out of somebody again and put up a lot of points offensively, it's there for the taking.
This is the old BK have it your way, Gabe. On offense, you can kind of do what you want against this defense. They don't have answers. I was talking about how many answers the Chiefs have. Well, the Commanders don't present a whole lot of problems. They've got a pretty decent interior of their defensive line, so that's something to monitor in that game. I would imagine it's going to be tough to get much going in the running game up the middle. But beyond that, man, like their linebackers are really bad in coverage. Their corners aren't particularly good, and they're getting up there in age. Their safeties are terrible in coverage. Their defensive ends don't provide a whole lot of anything when it comes to what they're providing with their pass rush. It's just not a defense that scares you in any real way. So whatever the Chiefs want to do in this game, if they say, hey, we want another game where we get Rashee Rice going, we're going to target him 12 times. Okay, cool. You can do that. If you want to get Xavier Worthy, you mentioned Ron, you haven't really seen a ton of him going down the field. If you want to do that more in this game, that's something that should be there for you. If you want to try a little bit more with Brashard Smith, who we saw a decent amount of in the last game against the Raiders, you can get him involved with some of those end arounds, jet sweeps, that kind of stuff. So it's all there for you. Whatever they want to do, they can kind of work on it in this game as another tune-up matchup prior to that Bills game. I'm just really kind of curious to see what they decided to go with, because this past week, it's the first time that we had really seen the screen game get going the way that it did. I'm curious to see what other elements they want to add to this offense, because this is a week where you could do that.
I think this is another week on offense where it's just going to be, okay, expand Rice's role even more and get him involved. And then, Andy Reid talked about like Brashard Smith and how like they're really finding ways to use him and they really like what he's bringing to the table. So maybe there's a way for them to expand on what he's doing. But the overall offensive game plan is just going to be attack their secondary, because their secondary just sucks. Like, you could just get after those guys. And their defensive line is old and banged up too. So I just think you can do what you want against the Washington Commanders defense.
Again, off of what we talked about to kick off the show, when I say we're back, baby, this is a part of it too. Like what you said, Serda, they're going to do whatever they do. I don't think they really care what the Washington Commanders do. I'm not saying that Andy and them aren't going to game plan and take advantage of issues, but I think they're back to the way they were years ago. They're going to do what they do, and they're not going to. Their offense isn't going to be dictated by what you do. Their offense is going to be dictated by what they do when you try to figure it out. Because as you just went through earlier, they have so many answers to the test that they can go in a bunch of different ways and do what it is that they want to do. Brashard Smith, the screen game, he seemed to get positive yards every time they ran that. You say the screen game's back. Hell yeah, Rashee Rice is back. The screen game is back, baby. And they're doing a whole bunch of stuff with that. So I just, and even their run game. And I would like to take a pit stop on the run game thing here, because this has really been annoying. The Chiefs don't need to trade for a running back. They don't need to trade for a running back because for a couple of reasons. Their run game is working to exactly what it is they need it to be. And this running back that all of you want them to kind of trade for, the names that people like to hear, ooh, the Breece Hall, that's sexy. Yeah. Let's bring him in. Like guys like that, Andy Reid is not going to use that person the way that you dream up in your head that they're going to use him. And I have, for one, am okay with it, because you got the best player in the world back to looking and playing like the best player in the world with all kinds of weapons to his disposal. You can't tell me on one end, hey, man, they got Rice, they got Hollywood, they got Worthy, they got Thornton, they got Kelsey. Hell, they got their running game getting better. Everybody's talking about watch out for Brashard Smith. Hell, Noah Gray got a big play in. You can't tell me they got all these guys and you and say, yeah, man, we want to run the football. Like, guys, y'all keep opening up and looking at the numbers and, oh, look at Pacheco again. Yeah, 30, 40 yards. Hey, Bray got 8 carries. 8 carries. He got 12 carries, and that's all he needs to get. Right? Like, and if there is a game where it feels like we gotta be physical and try to run the clock, I think they're gonna do it. I think they can do it well enough if they need to. I don't think they're going to, because that's not what their game is, and that's not how their team is set up, and that's not how Andy's going to run things. Like, we can't sit here and look at this run game. Dude, they had 152 yards rushing last week. If they are anywhere in the ballpark of 120 rushing, and I don't give a shit how they arrive there, look out. Look out. Right? Like, hey, I don't care how you get to 100. Like, I still hear people say, yeah, they really don't run the football. That's the only thing that I would say the Colts have an advantage of. They run the football. No, the Colts have to enjoy. Jonathan Taylor is their Patrick. Like, they got it. That's what they got to lead to. No, man, they bang out over 130 against the Ravens, over 120 against the Jags, over 150 against the Raiders, over 120 against the Lions. Hey, it is working just fine. It is working just fine.
We talked about this last week, Ron, when you were out. Couldn't agree more. You don't need a ton from your running game. Your running game is like a jab, right? Like, if you're a boxer, that's not going to be the thing that is the knockout punch for you. But, you need it to be there to be effective. You need the threat of the jab for you to be able to go to whatever your other punches are. And like baseball, right? It's like a nice sinker. You're going to use that two seam to be able to get to whatever your out pitch is, whether that's your changeup, your slider, whatever that may be. But for the Chiefs, that fastball is Isaiah Pacheco, and they're going to do it 10 to 15 times a game. In a really good game script, he's going to get 15 carries. And a normal game script is going to be somewhere closer to like 10 to 12 carries. And that's okay. If he gets 4 to 5 yards per carry on those 10 to 15 touches, man, that's great. That is exactly what the Chiefs are looking for. He has basically been exactly the player the Chiefs need him to be since that Giants game. He had a really bad start to the season. Those first 2 games were not good. Everything about it looked off. He looked like he did not have the same explosiveness. He did not look as confident. And since then, he's been running harder. He's been more effective. And that's good enough for this team, man. This team has other needs. It's not a team that doesn't need to add at the trade deadline. They definitely need to go to the market and find something, especially when it comes to their pass rush, in my opinion. That's just not where I would be utilizing their resources. They've got Pacheco, who's fine. They've got a guy who's great in the short yardage situations where they can go to Kareem Hunt there. And now Brashard Smith can come in for the passing situations or some of the gadget stuff. That's a nice 3-man backfield that you've got going right now.
They're gaining 4 to 6 yards every first and second down. Like, depending on if they run it on first down, if they run it on second down, they're getting 4 to 6 yards a pop. We're not seeing a lot of negative plays for them. They are doing exactly what they need, as you said, just to be the counter and the jab to keep people honest. And they're running it well enough where the play action is becoming a thing. And they're completely different when they're under center and they're getting yards and they are getting success with that. And again, Kareem Hunt, he comes in and he does exactly what his job is. Short yardage. They find creative ways to use him and get him, and he does what he needs to do. So and now the next step is, how they bring in Brashard Smith and and even and another thing, some of these little pass plays that are right at the line of scrimmage, they're like runs. They're just throwing them. Like the touchdown pass that Rashee Rice got in the game to kick things off, that's a run. It's just a pop pass, but that's a jet sweep. That's a run. And another creative way.
What do you think the ultimate goal is with Brashard Smith? Because he got a ton of usage last week. A lot of that was late when they literally did not throw the football a single time in the fourth quarter. Just an amazing performance by the Chiefs. But what do you think his role looks like when we get to Thanksgiving and beyond?
Well, I know Serda.
It's Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Jerick McKinnon. I think, and Kareem Hunt was banged up against the Raiders, and then he didn't practice today too, and he's listed as having an ankle and a knee issue. So that's something to watch ahead of this, because especially if Kareem Hunt misses practice all week and doesn't wind up playing, Brashard Smith could have an expanded role. But I think it's just what we've seen from him. They're going to keep trying to get him the ball, and I think what's encouraging is that when he's on the field, like he's getting looks, like they're designing passes to Brashard Smith to get him into space. And he's been super effective at it when he's gotten the opportunity to do so. And so I would like to see more of an expanded role from him just as a pass catcher, because I think he could be like as effective as Jerick McKinnon was when he had those monster stretches for the Chiefs.
I do just wonder, he is going to have to keep them honest by showing something in the run game. So they just like the team should just like flatly just saying, all right, this is a pass when he's in. And I think McKinnon did it well enough. But I am intrigued to see more of him as a runner, as opposed, because right now it's just, all right, he's going to catch the ball in the backfield. I am intrigued to see him more as a runner, because right now, as you say that, with Serda, it feels like the role of McKinnon. But I am intrigued to see more, and hopefully he gets more on his plate in terms of what he does in the run game as much as anything else.
I'm almost as intrigued to see, like, I kind of view him in the McColl role right now, strangely. I know he's a running back, but he's doing so many of the things that McColl used to do. And
yeah.
I kind of want to see if they can continue to expand that role as well. There's also just only so many touches to go around. I mean, we want to see Xavier Worthy get involved. We want to see Pacheco with 10 carries a week. We want to see 10 plus targets for Rashee Rice now that he's back in the offense. You've got to keep Travis Kelce involved. You're going to want to see a couple of deep routes every game for a guy like Tyquan Thornton. Juju's going to get his touches. Like, it starts to add up, and eventually you're like, okay, so what are we talking about? 3 to 5 touches a game for Brashard Smith, and maybe ultimately that's the role, and they're just 3 to 5 really effective touches, and they're high value touches on 3rd and 5 or whatever. But he's one of the very few guys that I feel like I don't have a good grasp just yet on what the role will be by the time we get to the end of the season, because I think we've got a pretty good idea conceptually with kind of what everybody else is going to be and how they fit into this offense.
All right. When the Commanders have the ball, and look, we know Jaden Daniels isn't playing, so this is a Marcus Mariota game. As long as the Chiefs can keep him from throwing, touchdowns to himself, we may have a chance here. But Marcus Mariota is going to start in this game, and we'll see about Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel. They both missed the last game, and Terry's missed several games here in a row with that injury, but they have practiced this week. I think last I looked, they were questionable. So we'll see. I'll be honest with you.
Full participants at their first practice this week.
I listen, I borderline hope they play, just because I do have concern about the focus and how serious they come in and can take them, right? Like, I don't know. I would have. I guess hindsight, you could look at it and say, well, would they have that about the Raiders? But it is a division rival. They're the Raiders and Geno and all that, so you could see how they could get up at home for that, and hopefully Monday Night Football at home and them on a roll and their record is enough. But that to me is the only thing with this Chiefs defense. This Chiefs defense, the way it's playing, everybody talks about that game from the 31 perspective a lot. What the number they did on the Raiders defensively is got to be one of the most impressive defensive performances by anybody in the NFL in the last decade. I mean, the defensive stats in that game are almost unbelievable. And if they come in with that level of focus and the level of focus they've had, the same level of focus they had against a team like the Lions, who came in leading everybody, and they did a good job of shutting them down, they should be able to handle this group. But that is really my biggest concern of the game with the defense, is how serious that they're able to take them with Marcus Mariota as a quarterback.
In general, it's my biggest concern about this game. Now, it being on Monday night, I think helps a little bit, because that should be something that gets you going. It's the prime time. I don't know how much that really gets these guys going anymore, because it seems like they're playing
on it all the time. Yeah,
but it should be an element that helps at least. it's just such a weird spot because you're going from, I mean, you had that Sunday night game, which was huge against Detroit. It just felt like a big game, especially given the loss the week prior. You've got a big divisional matchup against the Raiders. Even though they're bad, it's a divisional rivalry. There's always some juice there. And the next week, you've got the game against Buffalo on the road, which has huge implications, potentially all the way for like number 1 seed implications. Yeah. And then you're into the bye. So you've got that kind of mini reset that's right on the horizon. But in between all of that, you've got this weird non-conference, non-divisional opponent playing with a backup quarterback.
That felt bigger when the schedule came out, but now it doesn't.
It's kind of like, remember when the Chiefs played the Packers, but they didn't have Rodgers? It's kind of like that, where you're like,
Jaden Daniels like hasn't been good this year because he's just been hurt, and the Commanders haven't really taken that step forward.
So all of this is to say, I have a fear about that in general, but I definitely have a fear of it for the defense of not getting up, coming off of their first shutout victory in the regular season. When you did that against the Raiders, and you've got Marcus Mariota on the other side, it is definitely a fear of mine. And Ron, I'm with you. Like, maybe Debo and Terry are the things that allow for them to really get up for this game, or maybe they're the reason why we realize that the Chiefs didn't get up for this game, because those guys can take advantage of it. Like Chris Moore, that guy doesn't scare you. Debo can, if you don't play tough, if you're not playing hard, that guy can take a 10-yard crosser and take it 70 yards to the house. Terry McLaurin can just beat you over the top on any given play. So it is an offense that can still beat you. They've got some elements where if you're not careful, they've got the weapons to make you pay for it. And it's my really one concern going into this game is how seriously are the Chiefs going to take it?
Yeah, I just think right now too, it feels like this is the perfect game, like ahead of that Bills game, to just sleepwalk through this thing.
Absolutely.
And we're overconfident about them now because we're like, oh, the offense is back and the defense is figuring it out, and they're going to go out and they're going to drop 35, and for the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs will wind up winning like 24-17, and it'll be like a frustrating win where they play sloppy and there's a bunch of penalties and turnovers or something. But I do think that like there's a level of this now too, where it's like with the way that they started the season, like just now finally being above 500, like trying to make up ground in the division and the AFC. Like I'm hoping that's enough for them, just like in general, to be like, we just got to go win games and we can't dick around now.
But what you're
business.
But what you're saying is an element of what I think concerns me is there are many times, especially over the last several years, since the Chiefs, like they understand, they pace themselves. It seems like they're big picture at this thing, and I've watched them several times just come in. All right, we know we got to do this to win. And sometimes it makes the game closer, and you bring yourself in a situation where, you got to make a play, or they can make a play, and this thing, gets away from you. And that's just my thing. It's just, all right, let's get in here, get a win, let's get out. I don't like. There are times where we were frustrated, Serda, but I don't think they really gave a damn that they won 24-17. They were just trying to get in there, get out, not really drive anything up. But this is how we'll know if they're really back, because the early Chiefs, they would see teams like this, and they would win 24-17. They would try to put 24 on them by the half, or 35 on them by the half, and just beat the hell out of them. And I hope to see that, but to me, it is hard. You get up for Jaden Daniels, and you got your mind up, and it's Marcus Mariota. And yet, Terry can get behind you, but then there's a little thing in the back of your mind: can he make me pay? Can Marcus really make me pay? There's a little bit of that. So, but I will say this though: in games like this, I think you do have to find different challenges, and I think I think the Chiefs operate in their mind like that, of challenges of what could be. And I do think, especially with the injury now to Omar Norman Lott up front, that is clearly, I think, the weakness of the team right now is the front four D line. I think that is clearly the weakness right now. And I told you they should have kept Mike Pennell. It's clearly the weakness right now, and they're probably going to address that at some point before the trade deadline. We're already hearing they're making calls, and I think they will adjust that. But that is something that Washington does do decent. If there is something you could say without Jaden Daniels, they do well, and I think Mariota will not cause him to lose anything from that, because he runs a hell. They probably do more design quarterback stuff with Marcus Mariota. That will be something that could be a test to watch for, to see how they operate in the run game.
Yeah, they basically have one active player on the roster that can play the nose, and that's Derek Nottie. So they're going to have to activate somebody from their practice squad, most likely. And they're not going to play a ton. I mean, Omar Norman Lott was kind of in that like 10 to 15 snap range. He was playing like 20% of the snaps so far this season. And he had already been dealing with some injuries as well. So it's not the biggest loss in the world, but he was a guy that you were anticipating kind of ramping up as the season progressed as well, and hopefully taking on more and more of a role as the season continued. So I have to imagine that's a spot they'll look to upgrade. Maybe they even trade for 2 defensive linemen before the end of this season. I could see them maybe getting more aggressive there. But that's the thing that I'm going to be monitoring on the defensive side of the ball. Like, how do they make up for that loss? Are we going to see more of Mike Dana moving inside? Will we see more of Charles Omenihu playing along the interior, who also showed up, by the way, this week on the injury report for the Chiefs? What is the plan there, at least in the meantime, before they can make some kind of a move for a reinforcement? It's a story worth monitoring over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
I was just say, I think the trade deadline's a week from Tuesday. So they play Monday night, and then the following day, it's like they've got 1 week to figure it out. So I think they've already been on the phone, and if they're going to figure it out, they really don't have that much time to get it done.
Good time for the bye week too. Like, whoever you end up dealing, you will have that full, basically 2 weeks to be able to get themselves ingratiated with the offense or the defense or wherever they end up.
Yeah. All right, Steve, go ahead and grab me my music here. This is the game that is sweeping the nation right here, baby. A little certified or imposter. If you're new, welcome. I don't know where you've been, but I say a statement, and you let me know if that puppy is certified or imposter. The Chiefs' linebacking core is the strength of the defense. The linebacking core is the strength of the defense. Certified or imposter?
I think I'm going to say certified. Coming into this season, I think I believed it was probably the secondary, and I think the secondary has been good outside of a couple of struggling performances. But Leo's been amazing. Nick Bolton has been exactly who Nick Bolton is, despite people's criticisms of him as a player. Nick Bolton's a good linebacker and always has been. And he's exactly who we know he is. And then Drew Tranquill has just been light years better this season so far than he was last season. Like, he really struggled last season and I think was banged up too, but he has been great this season. Like, he's just brought like a totally different energy to the linebacker room than it felt like he had all of last year.
I'm going to say imposter, but it's not because I think that the linebackers have been bad. And I'm going to pick a position that I absolutely did not anticipate saying is the strength of the defense prior to this season. I think the strength of this defense right now is the safety room. And I think it's because of what we've seen from Shamari Connor and Brian Cook so far this year when they are playing safety. I want to clarify here, when they are playing safety, both of those guys have been very good for the Chiefs. The defensive line certainly is not this. The cornerbacks, no. It's between the linebackers and the safety room, and I personally think that the safeties have been the better group overall because they have fewer limitations. The linebacker group, while very good, does still have some limitations in passing coverage.
I'm going to say certified, and only because, I think the secondary probably has their best player potentially, with McDuffie and the ways that he can be utilized. But I just don't trust Spags to consistently play the right guys. Like you keep stressing if he's playing safety. And, there we go. Most important moments of the game against Jacksonville, rears his ugly head that he's not just not playing safety, but singled up on Brian Thomas. So and I know their deficiencies. I can't get over the Lions game and how they weren't exploited. And it wasn't like there wasn't chances. I mean, hell, Nick Bolton's right there running with Jahmyr Gibbs on routes.
Bolton's been great this year, by the way. He's having such a good season. I think he had one bad game earlier on. Was that the Giants game that he kind of got blown off the ball a few different times? But other than that, I've really been impressed by the way that he's played this year.
Like you said, Serda Leo has been so good. He stepped that pick he had against Andrews in Baltimore. He step for step and makes that play. In the Detroit game, like their ability to be able to stay out there against Detroit with three linebackers the entire time was something special right there, and a lot of it had to do with those guys. So I'm going to say certified on that thing. We definitely agree it's not the D line, and that has probably been the strength of the defense, a lot of the times during this run. All right, prediction time. Serda, where are you going within this game? By the way, last I saw, the Chiefs were 12.5-point favorites in this game.
I think it's 11.5 now. I think it's come down
11.5.
Yeah, that's the Terry and Debo point for they fully practiced. I just think that things are going too well on offense right now. Like, I just think that the Chiefs at full health on that side of the ball are a problem for any team. And we're talking about like a Washington defense that just, in my opinion, just simply isn't that talented. So I just think that the Chiefs are going to do whatever they want on the offensive side of the ball. And hopefully the defense shows up and does play well and doesn't play games with Marcus Mariota and that Washington offense. But I think at the end of the day, the Chiefs are just a much better football team right now. And I think that they'll easily win this. So I'm going to pick them to win 34-17.
I think the Chiefs win it. I think it's a little bit more of a frustrating game defensively than what we're hoping for, just because the Commanders, especially if they've got these guys coming back healthy, and I'm anticipating that for this game, they've got some dudes that can beat you. And they do it in ways that hurt this defense, especially going across the middle. So I think the Chiefs win. They score 30 again because that's what they do nowadays. They're going to score 31 points. They will win it 31-23. Commanders cover, but you leave feeling like, all right, we got the win. We did what we needed to do. On to Buffalo.
It feels like we're in a situation where it's like Dean Smith. The only person that can hold Patrick Mahomes down is Andy Reid. It seems like right now, Andy Reid is just ripped away in fourth quarters. Now they're blowouts, but ripped away Patrick Mahomes and the offense ability to put up. I think they could have put up 50 in the games that they've missed the fourth quarters. I mean, he has shut it down and shut them down. And I think the defense is humming. I think they're rolling. This, to me, feels like another ass kicking. I'm going to go 38-13 in this game. I don't think it's going to be close at all. And we may see a little Gardner time again. But I go 38-13. The Chiefs will get ready for the big one next week against Buffalo, which, as you said earlier, can determine a ton moving forward. We are out.